Prepare for war tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because I can assure you, this will most certainly be worth the wait in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that these two men and BCW most certainly helped build, Sportswire Radio. And boy, we're going to talk a lot tonight about the new version of the Montreal Screw Job. I'll ask the man that no longer holds the BCW Championship about that. But I'll certainly be talking to first the man that holds that championship and the man that is most certainly Mr. Trampomania, and he continues his streak at Trampomanias, and he took away that championship that Maxel Reeves had for nearly 9 months. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into tonight's BCW special show where, boy, Tsunami talked about everything. He laid it on the line. We're going to talk about this past weekend show where, boy, the war of words, and these guys are going to do this again on JCTV this Saturday, and boy, 150 can't come soon enough. And these guys are going to talk about how what was once a brotherhood, what was once a friendship, two men that for the past 4 years has helped one of the most important companies right now in the backyard wrestling circuit, BCW, to certainly now to where it is with these two men, it may never be the same again. These two men, there's only just one thing left, is to put these men back in the BCW arena and face off one more time for one of the richest prizes in our sport, one of the richest prizes in backyard wrestling history, that BCW Championship that our founder has here in his possession. But you know what? I might even have some surprises tonight for our guests, and they won't even know what's coming, because I can assure you there'll be multiple surprises, and let's just say it'll certainly make for a lot about what you're going to hear of tonight on that road to BCW 150. As BCW not only is in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, but now they just passed 1,500 subscribers, and, well, they'll be well on their way, ladies and gentlemen, to 2,000 subscribers. But before we get to all of that, since now they're officially here for the first time fully in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, because I see some of people in the chat that are waiting for it. And in the famous words of Def Leppard frontman Joe Elliott, let's get rocked, baby, and start this show off in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports number one, level of show. Two men that have helped build BCW into one of the premier companies in the backyard wrestling circuit with over 1,500 subscribers. First, he was the BCW champion for nearly 9 months, where he is the man that they once called the Master of Brutality, but his name is simply as the founder of BCW. He's Mr. Trampomania, and he's now the reigning, defending BCW champion. His name is simply put, the champ is here, my friends. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. I don't know about Maxel Reeves over there mean mugging me as usual, but I'm doing fantastic. And why wouldn't I be? BCW champion. I mean, first time on the Sports Report with the BCW Championship. It's a great night for me.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Maxel, as you pretty much just said, is going to definitely vehemently disagree with you. He is definitely going to point out that this is our generation's version of the Montreal Screw Job. We will most certainly get into that. Plus, I will have some surprises for both of you men. But let's start with you, Tsunami, first. Because for those that are listening and watching here on prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you two men alongside BCW most certainly helped build, Sportzwire rated to the tune of nearly 1,500 subscribers. And who knows, tonight might be the night, because I think we're 2 subscribers away of reaching that milestone. So if you are here, go tell your friends and their friends to hit that sub button. But Tsunami, I ask you, what does it mean to you now to be back on top as the reigning, defending BCW champion?
It means more to me than anyone could actually understand. And whatever Maxel Reeves has to say here tonight, he doesn't understand what it's like to be in a position like me. He's had everything handed to him here in BCW. He hasn't had to work through adversities like I've had. I've never had an alliance with anybody, and I've never had anyone hand me a championship or anything like that. I've had a clause placed on me where I couldn't even fight for the BCW championship for years. And I had to win a gridlock match. I had to defend my main event spot against Caden Gallows, and then I had to go through hell against Maxel Reeves in the main event of Trampomania when nobody really gave me a chance. Some people obviously, thought I could win. People that see that I'm a great human being and the best wrestler in the backyard, they thought I could win, but there was more people than not that thought that Maxel Reeves was going to dispose of me. So all of that, it just makes all of this so much sweeter.
Don't you worry, I still am.
Well, you were correct, by the way. You said on BCW 147, you usually get in less than 3 minutes before Maxel comes in. And, well, that was just about less than 3 minutes.
He interrupts me all the time because he's afraid of what I have to say.
Because you spew nothing but misinformation and propaganda. That is all you are. You are a propaganda machine that needs to be put out of service. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
I'll tell you what, since we're here in prime time, and this is the platform where this guy, Gary Wolf, just was here about 2 weeks ago, and Rhino and Savio Vega were here. If I have to go one by one, I will, but let's not do that yet, because I want to hear both of you men. We've got a lot to talk about here over the next hour. And Tsunami, you proved to the world, whatever it might be, we'll get into the second part of that, obviously the Montreal Screw Job part that Maxel talks about, but I will ask you, conversely, in a 2-parter of what I've asked you about being on top, you're now Mr. Trampomania, and that continues. And what does that also mean to you?
I mean, first off, it's all been against Maxel Reeves. In the first Trampomania, it was a triple threat match. Tommy Good was there too. And I won the BCW Championship at Trampomania 1, and I won it again at Trampomania 3. Now, 3 years in a row, I've beaten Maxel Reeves. I guess not 3 years in a row. I'm sure before Maxel interrupts me and says about the hiatus that we had. But 3 years of Trampomania, and I've beaten him. And I'm the only wrestler, after this Trampomania, I'm the only wrestler to have had a match at Trampomania and not lost. Everybody else.
We
on the
talked
roster,
about that here on Sportswire when you guys were
everybody
here
else.
a few weeks ago. That was a big
Mhm.
deal here, and especially with this championship, one of the richest prizes in our sport. And this has got to mean a little extra to you because of just
Yeah.
the magnitude of the stage you're on, and to be on top, and especially, Tsunami, because that first reign that you had, I mean, Maxwell makes a point that it wasn't very long, and that's got to
Yep.
why it's going to motivate you to stay on top at 150, and that's why it feels very good for now to be on top.
Well, yeah, and my first title reign, it was about a month long. I got injured in my match against NJN, and he obviously beat me and went on to have his 800+ day reign.
Yep, which
And
we've talked about. Yep.
yes, and this means a lot to me now because we're in such a higher spot than we were. I don't know exactly how many subscribers we had in my first championship reign, but it was, I think, around 200 maybe.
I was going to say it wasn't very many
It
because
was-
Maxwell
and-
was here the first time and we just hit 500 in BCW.
Exactly,
We
yeah.
tripled that. So,
So
it's a long road. I know the feeling. I was there. I'm just right behind you guys. So I know what it's like to go up the ladder and be where you guys are.
Yep.
So it's an important milestone, but you got your work cut out for you, Tsunami. You talked
yeah.
about it here a little while ago. I've put the link up here for people can go hit the sub button for BCW. We have a lot to talk about here, but we've talked a lot about this on Sportswire over the past several months, and people come on here, whether it's in the pros, whether it's in the backyard, the underground, or the indie wrestling circuit, and now you make the transition from being the hunter to the hunted, and you've got to deal with Maxel Reeves here once again. I'm going to give Maxel Reeves the floor in a minute or two, and you may be Mr. Trampomania, but 150 is not Trampomania, and you've got to fight hard, maybe even harder, to keep that championship because we know just how personal this feud has gotten.
Yeah, could go either way, but it's not. It's gonna go one way. It's gonna go my way because Maxel Reeves is only just getting into this war. This is what I said for people that haven't seen the video that just came out on our channel, BCW 147. I said the exact same thing, and we'll get into this more when we talk about other things. But I've been in this war for years, and Maxel Reeves is only just realizing it's a war. He thought it was, personal, and obviously he wanted to keep the BCW Championship, but a war is a whole different thing. And I fought for my life at Trampomania. Now that I have this, now I have everything to lose, and I believe that makes me stronger. I believe fighting for something makes you stronger than fighting, with nothing to lose. And that's why I understand that, and I know I'm going to win at BCW 150. And Maxel Reeves can do or say whatever he wants. I've never been more confident in my life, ever.
Wow. Well, it's interesting that you said those things because you've taken an assertive tone because I've had guys on here who made that transition. We had on Ramrock, a guy from Thunder Mountain Wrestling in Arizona, Savio Vega. That's where he's wrestled. Billy Gunn is there next month, and he wins a world championship for the first time, in years. And he basically gets knocked off in the first defense. We've had a guy, Joe Starr, on from a company, NEW, and he makes the transition in his career early on, wins the Northeast Championship, knocks off an indie wrestler for it. And, and he struggled with it throughout the entire year. But I'm as confident as ever. I'm assertive. I got this. And that's a really interesting tone. Another guy, Godric Sandwell, who's here Tuesday night, was chasing hard to win his company's world championship, and he couldn't win the big one. But I do want to go back to Maxel Reeves now because, Maxel, Tsunami brings up personal. He brings up personal, and he says it's not personal. But, I want to bring up this photo, and you tell me a little bit about it because this came up with your father. But now this is even more personal because you brought this photo up here on your Instagram page, and I've brought it up for us on Sportswire. And talk to me about this photo and what Maxel, this photo used to resemble of you and Tsunami, and why this is something you're going to remember coming up here in a few weeks on episode 150 for that championship.
Of course, that image right there that you see was taken on a summer night, July of 2015. That image is obviously of a very, very, very different time in the life of me and Tsunami. It is a time in which we were brothers, truly. Me and Tsunami and Tommy Good. That is the origin of the birth of BCW, was that brotherhood that we've had since we were little kids. And you see, I showcased that image just because I wanted to show people just how much this man has become corrupted by the fame and the success of BCW, that it doesn't even really belong to him. It's disgusting. And the man goes out here and says that he believes that you fight better when you have something to fight for. I think the opposite, because I'm a man with nothing to lose anymore. There's not a thing I won't do at BCW 150. I do not care about morals. I did before Trampomania, but you threw every single bit of moral concern out the damn window when you did what you did in the main event. And then you have the audacity to go there and you deny it. And you sit there and you deny it endlessly. I didn't use the chain because you don't want your image stained as it should be. You don't want your image stained, no. But you have already done the disservice to this company by staining, leaving an indelible mark on this company's prestige. The championship is one of the most prestigious championships in backyard wrestling. It doesn't transfer hands very often at all. MJM with over 800.
Yeah, we talked about that. That was over 2 years. You knocked him off. You were here right after you knocked him off. You held the championship again for maybe just around 9 months or just under it. And now Tsunami has it.
Yeah, Tsunami even said he referenced the clause in which that me and NJN were together in the faction that we put on him. He couldn't.
He said that on BCW TV as well.
He should be overwhelmingly thankful that I vanquished NJN and took the BCW championship off him, because that put him in perfect position to manipulate his way to the top and yet again steal the BCW championship. You know what's funny? You know what's really funny? It's back at Trampomania 1. At Trampomania 1, Tsunami didn't earn the right to be in the main event of Trampomania. He had the power at the time, and he inserted himself into that match. At Trampomania 3, what happened there? He earned it. I admit it, and I even said it. Congratulations, you earned it. You worked for something. Finally, you showed up enough to work for something. And then he earned it. Good for him. He went into the match against who is the best wrestler, the most prestigious wrestler, the most decorated wrestler in this company. And he went into that match and he fought a war against me. And that's what it was. We threw everything at one another, but we kept it about professional wrestling, about the sport that we both love, whether or not we agree on it. And then at the very end of that match, what does he do? He ruins everything, because he realized that no matter how many finishers, no matter how many final ways, founder's elbows, slashes, whatever you name it, whatever he could do in that match that were within the regulations of that match weren't enough to topple your BCW.
It was definitely a match that people are going to remember a long time, not just BCW fans. But, you know, Maxel, I want to ask you this question. I'm listening to you speak. I see this photo up, and obviously that's a photo from 10 years ago. And certainly times have definitely changed. And there was no question that there was a relationship at one time between especially you and Tsunami. But these last few weeks, Maxel, in addition to coming on here, you lost the BCW Championship, as we see Tsunami has it. But let me ask you, what has these last few weeks been like for you, Maxel? And how are you going to use that to help you here regain that championship for a third time?
It's been hell. It's been nothing but unbridled rage, unbridled hatred. Everything has just consumed me completely. I've turned myself into an animal. I don't leave the gym. I was in the gym for the last 3 hours before this show started. You see, my hair's a little wet. I just hopped in the shower right before coming on here. I am working like never before. I was working when I was your BCW champion because I have so much passion for what that title means to me and this company. But these past 3 weeks, I have realized something. I have realized that this company has been ruined by Tsunami, and that it is my obligation to myself, to this roster, to the BCW fans, to restore the prestige of the BCW championship. And you know why? I went out there and I attacked Tsunami, and I did it from behind because I showed that if you are willing to go low, Tsunami, I will go lower. And I've been a man who's always considered the high road, always. And you know, it is sickening. It is sickening that now I have to take this path, that I have to become this man, Tsunami. You've made me a monster. You're making me a monster. You're making me do things that I just don't want to do, or I didn't want to do, because what you did at Trampomania has changed me as a person forever. I will never be the person I was before Trampomania 3. I've only become more dangerous, more hostile, more unpredictable. And I'm going to tell you what, you're a manipulator. You put yourself into positions and you steal things. Well, good for you. Last time you stole the BCW championship, I had a contingency plan that was named NJN that shaped the entire history of this company completely reform BCW, and don't you worry, there's another contingency plan in place. And
well, before I get to that plan, I got to let you speak, Tsunami, because Maxel's definitely a house of fire here, no question about it. More or less like yesterday's guest, Omen Black, a house of wolves, verbally, no question. But Tsunami, it sounds to me like, again, some of those things you've been saying, whether it's been here on Sportswire or on BCW TV, sounds like it's kind of ringing true, because Maxel is not the man that he said he was or portrayed he was. He's went to lengths by any means necessary to regain that championship. We talked about mind games here, getting in the head of Maxel Reeves. And it seems to me like, Tsunami, what I just heard, some of at least what Maxel just said, basically proves true to what you've been saying on BCW TV and here the last few months.
Tom, before you ask Tsunami this question, I just have to ask you something. You know the phrase "an eye for an eye"? When someone does something to you, you have to give it back to them. That's exactly what this is. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to be in this position. I just said that. I don't want to be the bad guy. You're making me into the bad guy, Tsunami. It is your fault. Everything that is coming to you, everything that's going to happen at BCW 150, it's unsanctioned for a reason. I went to management. I demanded my rematch, and they gave it to me right away. And I told them I want it unsanctioned. I want no responsibility for anything that happens to you in that match, because when I take my BCW championship, I don't even know if you're going to be able to walk out of that venue.
I want to give Tsunami, though, the opportunity now, in part, to respond to some of those things and give his side. So, Champ, you got the floor.
Yeah. Maxel, listen, I'm not scared of you, okay? I beat you at Trampomania 3. I am incredibly confident in my ability to beat you at BCW 150. And you made a good point, Tom, that it is not Trampomania, so therefore my Mr. Trampomania moniker doesn't necessarily apply. But Trampomania 3 was a bigger stage. It was the biggest match in the history of backyard wrestling. It was
the views speak for it, by the way. We're almost at 3,000 views.
Yep.
What was that, a couple weeks ago? You guys were here, I think, like 3 weeks ago on Sportswire. The fact that you've got that many views in a short amount of time, I mean, that's certainly a lot of eyes on the prize.
Yep. And Maxel Reeves, obviously, like you said, he's not the man that he claims to be, and now he's finally showing who he's always been. Okay, he's always been morally clouded. He doesn't really know what's right and wrong. See, if he decided to do an eye for an eye, that's cool, great. That means he's a bad person. Okay, have you ever heard of the expression "two wrongs don't make a right"? Obviously,
yeah, I've heard it plenty of times growing up.
Exactly, but obviously Max Reeves hasn't heard of that. Maxel Reeves thinks an eye for an eye. Okay, yeah, that's cool. You attacked me from behind. Okay, well, you attacked me backstage before Trampomania. You assaulted.
Oh my goodness! I mean, that was. I don't know if I've seen anything like that in the backyard circuit in a while. What happened between you and Maxel? No question.
Well, who says what Tsunami said to me that day? Who said what kind of person, what kind of individual?
Well, we did bring that part up too. But Tsunami, I was wondering what your thoughts were on that photo that I showed.
Yes.
What Maxel posted. What was going through your mind when Maxel basically put that photo out there and threw out the window a friendship of 10 years? What's your thoughts on that?
He said, yeah, exactly, 10 years, right? And we're all adults now, except Maxel Reeves. Maxel Reeves acts like a child all the time. We're all adults, and things change. We're not going to be. I don't have all my childhood friends. I barely talk to any of my childhood friends, and I wish that I talked to more of them. But that's just how life goes sometimes.
Yeah, I actually, what a small coincidence. I actually ran into somebody today in Brooklyn that I hadn't seen in 15 years. I've seen him now 2 times in 2 weeks, and
that's
awesome. We were we actually had that same conversation. You're not going to be friends with people from your childhood, really.
So
really not.
A lot of things happened, and I don't know what we thought was going to happen when we started a professional wrestling company, when we started wrestling each other and punching each other in the face. I don't know why we ever thought we were going to remain friends.
But you dropped the chain. See that there just now?
Exactly. Because I realized
why did you throw it away? Why not use that chain?
Because I would have gotten disqualified and I would have lost the opportunity to win the BCW championship. So, I mean, the chain, I obviously am not stupid enough to use the chain and get caught.
But he was trying to test you there. What
exactly?
What was your thought on that?
I felt the anger, and obviously I want to punch Maxel Reeves in the face with a chain more now than ever since he did it to me at BCW 145. But I realized that the BCW championship is more important, and what, like, I feel like what would hurt more than a chain shot to the face is taking the BCW championship from Maxel Reeves in the main event of the biggest show in BCW history and the biggest match in BCW history. And that's what I did. And that it feels so fantastic to know that I ruined what should have been the best moment of Maxel Reeves' career, and then now it's the best moment of mine. And that photo that Maxel Reeves posted was those are two different kids. Those kids grew up, and those smiles were genuine in that photo. We have not had a picture.
You've been saying here and on BCW TV that what you see of Maxel Reeves in BCW is not the Maxel Reeves outside of BCW. Do you mean to tell me that Maxel Reeves is not the Maxel Reeves you once knew, conversely?
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all. Huh?
Maxel Reeves used to be a good-hearted human being, and then he met NJN. I mean, he was like the first year or so of BCW before he met NJN. He was obviously, he would do some jerk things, but I didn't think he was a terrible human being. But Maxel Reeves, he ever since he met NJN, he changed drastically. He changed, and he became a terrible person. He became somebody that didn't care about anything but himself and the BCW Hardcore Championship when he had it. And he wanted to keep NJN happy because he knew that NJN would stab him in the back if he ever did something wrong. That happened. So Maxel Reeves, I think he's just emotionally insecure. I think that's what it is.
All right, let me. I'm going to come back to Maxel in a minute. We're here with Tsunami and Maxel Reeves, and what a war of words so far. We will get to some people in the chat. I have some surprises for the guys. These guys are going to go at it again here, really in a matter of a few weeks. And stay tuned to BCW TV for more information on that. But, Tsunami, I want to ask you, though, this question. Maxel has been in a lot of big matches these last several months. You brought up NJN. You brought up what he's done with the championship. But you have to come back here in a relatively short time. I talked about that it's not Trampomania. So after going through what you've went through here at Trampomania and what you're going to go through, I am sure, on BCW's episode 148 this Saturday, which is coming out on JCTV, where I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of this. Tsunami, how are you going to prepare at 150 to retain this championship by going through what you're about to go through once again? How are you going to prepare for this?
Well, physically, I'm already prepared. Yeah. I'm in incredible shape. I have fantastic cardio, and my body, in terms of how much pain I can sustain. I've been in matches like this before. I fought Kanan Gallows in American Anarchy last year. That was perhaps the most physical match I've been in to date. I fought Tommy Good at Christmas Chaos too this past December.
But you had a little bit. I would say though that you did have a sabbatical, and I would also say Maxel has been in maybe more matches recently. That's why I'm just curious on what's the preparation going to be like.
Well, I know that I've felt pain before. I felt physical pain. And I felt emotional pain. I felt all different types of pain, and the physical pain is nowhere near as it doesn't hurt anywhere near as much as the emotional pain that I felt from BCW. And that emotional pain was not being able to challenge for the BCW championship. That emotional pain was it was my life. Like everything. What was the point of me coming back and wrestling in BCW if I could never challenge for the BCW championship? That was my mental battle. And
Understood.
Obviously, I won it, and it took some time, but I won that mental battle, and I won the mental battle leading up to Trampomania with Maxel Reeves. I won that mental battle. I got in his head very easily, and I threw him off of his game. Maxel Reeves was not the better man at Trampomania 3, and it shows, and that's why the title is over my shoulder and not his.
Maxel, I want to give you the opportunity. Yeah, you make great points, but Maxel, I think it's time now to let you speak because you have, I'm sure, waiting, and I know you have a lot to say on some of those things.
Of course. So Tsunami just talked for a very long time about how he's equipped to handle BCW 150. And you made some great points, Tom. I have by far and away the most matches in BCW, 60 damn matches under my belt. There's nobody that works harder than me in this company, has more appearances than me in this company. And never forget that if this man left and had his way, BCW would have died. He only came back because he realized that people found out that the train doesn't stop for you, and that I brought in Caden Gallows and I brought in Christensen, and we kept rolling. We kept rolling, we kept filming, we kept making content for people to enjoy. Then you saw that. Then you realized you came back. That's when you called yourself the founder of BCW. You know, you see those three monikers right there? You see those three monikers?
Oh, boy. I was like, is somebody coming in now? I mean, boy. That's how excited Maxel is. Maybe, Champ, you are certainly getting into the head of Maxel Reeves, but
can't even control himself.
It's funny.
He's all over like this. This is Maxel Reeves.
There's actually I'm going to speak on this right now.
Last time it was Alexa to sell Tsunami.
This time
we didn't need that because oh my God, is something happening here? Oh my God, the mind games are being played here.
Can I please explain?
Oh my God!
No. The people outside, there are individuals at my window, fans at my window tormenting me. Fans at my window tormenting me. This is what I've gone through since WrestleMania. This is what I've gone through.
He's hearing things. The voices in Maxel Reeves' head.
I'm sick of this, and I'm taking back my company.
The voices inside. The richest prize that we all compete for in this circuit. It's certainly getting to Maxel Reeves. What will happen at 150? What will happen this Saturday? BCW 148 on JCTV. And he's left. He's walked off the stage. He's walked off.
Where'd he go?
He's
yelling at people.
Maxel Reeves is back. Oh my God, he's muting himself. He's muting himself because he knows the F-bombs he's dropping right now.
I'm done.
Oh my God, this is the best day of my life.
I am done. I am sick. This is what I've been subjected to.
He's done.
This is what I've been subjected to. I am done. I am done, Tom. I'm done, Tsunami. I'm done with this. I'm done with it.
He'll come and go over the years, but Maxel Reeves is just... He's almost had enough. Tsunami shows that
I don't care. I don't care anymore.
In our circuit. Oh my goodness! We had to take off the mask because clearly it's too much for Maxel Reeves, and clearly Tsunami is getting into Maxel Reeves' head. But these two men are going to face off with each other this Saturday on BCW 148, and on top of that, they're competing once again, and it's unsanctioned. These two men, they might fight to the death. They literally might fight to the death because I don't know what's going to happen. BCW management did this. And certainly, they may or may not have a conscience in the fact that BCW 150 is going to see that championship that Tsunami has on him right now is going to be on the line. But get this, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be an unsanctioned match. Who knows what these two men will do to each other? The only way to find out is to go to the BCW YouTube page, the BCW Instagram page, and that's where you can find out more information because God only knows what's going to happen. It is one for the ages. Let me get to some comments because I got to get Maxel Reeves to calm down. Tsunami's just going to continue to get into his head. Let's certainly say hello to Zilla. She's been waiting for this. And yes, thank you, Zilla. James Taylor, speaking of people competing for championships, he will be out there competing in BYCW for the PWF Uprising Championship. He would like to say hello. No link, Zilla. These two men, you can't get in the way of them. Trust me on that. Ox McCoy, the IMF Hardcore Champion, is in the house, and what he did to Kato, I wouldn't want to get in his way. Speaking of people, yes, hello to Ox McCoy. Omen Black is here, the man that was in your chair last night on his platform, on his show. The real king is back. Just a reminder to all, if you keep dancing with the boogeyman, one day the boogeyman will follow you home, and ask Felix Jones about that.
Maybe you follow Maxel Reeves home. Maybe it was the boogeyman outside his window.
Oh my, wait a minute. Is Omen Black out here on Sportzwire today? Is Omen Black coming to investigate Maxel Reeves? Oh my God. It could be. You know
Crazy.
what? I hadn't thought of that. He is the boogeyman, and that's what the boogeymen do. And could
I
be.
hope he doesn't
Omen
knock on
Black.
my window next.
Well, you know what? Well, you're the champion right now. You're the founder of BCW. You're on
Exactly,
top.
sir.
I mean,
Yep.
one champion to another. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Thank
But
goodness.
yes, certainly hello to Omen Black. Hit the sub button for our friends here in BCW. And definitely Zilla is certainly about to say hello. Yes, yes, yes. My buddy Doc Holliday, the legendary backyard wrestling star. And, of course, a man that won that All Wrestling Matters hard event. I stuttered. It's the Riot in the Ring that he won because I'm disconnected here. And now I'm connected. But I have a surprise for you, gentlemen, that is actually going to add something here. And I was wondering if I could bring this person on who knows you both very well and wants to add their 2 cents on what's going to happen here at 150 for that championship that Tsunami holds in that unsanctioned match. Now, with your consent, can I bring this individual on?
Sure, yeah.
Both of your
I'm interested. I'm
As you
very
can
intrigued.
see, you can throw anything at me, and I'm
You sure?
fine.
You
I'm
sure?
fine. Bring it on, Tom.
All right. Well, you know what? For those that are listening and watching, in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage. Wait a minute! It's Caden Gallows! It's Caden Gallows!
Well, it has been a long time since I've been on here.
Oh my God! Caden Gallows hasn't been on Sportzwire and get this over 7 months. He's back!
Yeah, long overdue. It's great seeing you guys. Great to be back, Tom.
God.
It's great to see you, Maxel. Great to see you, Tsunami.
Oh!
Yeah, I kind of left you guys out in the dust, not giving you much information, but I really can't say much.
Caden, we've spoken privately. I know exactly what you're doing right now. I know exactly what you got going on. I am so proud of you. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so proud of you. I mean that genuinely. That's me talking right now from man to man. I am proud of you. Keep killing it. Keep doing what you're doing. And when you're ready, when the time is right, I know we'll see you back where you belong in BCW.
Absolutely. I will return. I'm not gone forever. No one's really ever gone, but I'll return. Too. But I'm just here for, I'm here to put my 2 cents in.
What brings you here, though? But you've seen what these 2 men have been doing to each other verbally. You've seen the back and forth. I mean, Maxel Reeves looked like he basically left the stage and came back. And Tsunami has certainly been going off and saying his things. We've seen how personal this gotten. You know these men very well. And, I mean, what's to say here?
He knows me. The other man's not really around much for him to talk to him, but it's okay.
There's a lot of history that goes into these 2 men. These guys were the 4 pillars, 2 of the 4 pillars of BCW.
Yes.
I'll put NJN in there because, after the time he served, I believe that he
800 plus days. He absolutely deserves
without
to be
a doubt,
regardless of whether you like him or not. And Tsunami has left.
Wow.
He has left, but maybe he'll come back. Caden, I'll certainly let the champ get a minute or 2 to come back, but talk to me about what's on your mind.
Yeah, so as I was saying, these guys have a lot of history. Maxwell, it is a little bit of a tough break to go 3 years in a row, losing to the same person. Believe me, I know exactly how it feels. I've lost to NJN. It took me a ton of times, and you've beaten Tsunami before, so it's not like you can't do it.
Caden, you know exactly what happened in that main event. You know,
I do. You, from the bottom of my heart, you were absolutely robbed. You were. There was just absolutely piss poor referee work. Commentators didn't see that chain.
A lot is going to have to change. A lot is going to have to change.
And I'm going to put that up here because Caden is referring to something that I am most certainly going to show the audience here in a second because we have it synced up. So I certainly want to refer to that point here. And we're here right now. And obviously we're getting toward it. And we're going to go a little bit back so people can go relive this. And obviously you referred to something which obviously Maxel has talked about, which I know Tsunami disagrees with vehemently, but Maxel has said that this is the equivalent of the Montreal Screw Job, and Caden, you referred to it, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, this is the we'll call this the BCW Screw Job, the Ben Salem Screw Job, if you will. It was just absolutely terrible performance on the referee. I will give them props for going through the table. That was that's a little hard to lean on that side of the rope, but yeah, when there's clearly something in the hand and you just don't catch it, it sucks. It really does suck to just not see that. But when it's in a match like this and we've had replays available, I mean, look at me and Maxel Reeves. You could have thought that I would have won that match based off the pin that I gave him, but they checked back with management and they said Maxel Reeves kicked out and I could have been BCW champion. But besides that point, I mean, if we have the technology to be able to do that, then I think we should have been able to enforce that.
But in wrestling, there's no asterisks. In wrestling, there's no do-overs. There's no – listen, in baseball, right, there was a season in 1994 that didn't count a World Series winner. The Montreal Expos had the best record, but they didn't give the World Series to the Montreal Expos. I mean, I understand the point, but I've been doing this a long time. I've had wrestlers come on here left and right. Heck, there's a guy, Silas Walker, the general manager of DBW. Apparently, there's some guy that also had a controversial finish against Silas Walker, and I understand he made his way to visit you guys. I'll get to that in a different time, but there was a controversial finish there, a controversial outcome, but they couldn't change the outcome of it. And unfortunately or fortunately, just like the Montreal Screw Job, Bret Hart didn't tap out, but Bret Hart was considered to have lost that match. And Tsunami, well, he was considered to have won this match, and that's why he's got that championship, and they don't have do-overs or asterisks in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked to say it, but we're going to see. I mean, if there's any chance for Maxel Reeves to capitalize, it's going to be coming up at BCW 150. That is for damn sure. It's
unsanctioned, so yeah, that there's no question that it's going to be a fight to the death. But I mean, I understand and I hear that point, but I would be hypocritical. Yes, I see it, and I see that Tsunami thinks about it, and he puts it down. He put it down, and I see it, and I think we all see eye for an eye. I agree with you. But wait a minute!
Normal.
Hot diggity damn! He had it, but nobody saw it. There was no angle. No referee saw it, and I mean, what we saw on BCW TV
there he is, stuffing it in his pockets, right there. You can slow it down. You see after he.
We'll come back to the tape. We're gonna let Tsunami respond. It's only fair. So we're going to go back a little bit, and I'm going to slowly play it again. We're going to go back to the point of the chair. Tsunami obviously doesn't know what we're talking about because Tsunami forgot about it, understandably so. But obviously Maxel is down. Tsunami's got the chair, and he thinks about it. And just like we saw at the beginning of the match, right, when you had that chain, you put it, you dropped it, you threw it away. You threw the chair, you threw it away, but there's no angle, so nobody sees it. And there was an object that you saw, and boom! To quote NBA Jam, boom, shakalaka, boom! And there you go, and we got... That's it. I mean, I don't know. Tsunami, what do you think?
A good punch to that.
No object there.
No technical difficulties over there, huh? Can't figure your shit out like always.
Listen, Tsunami, I need to be quite frank with you. I don't know any world champion that's ever won their match based off one singular punch to win a championship. You must have one hell of a punch, but I mean,
I mean, aside from the Big Show, maybe, yeah. I mean, I think that's a very accurate point, but I mean, hopefully Tsunami will get his technical difficulties fixed, but he's won. I agree that maybe it's not fair, but in wrestling, I've been doing this so long, and they don't overturn decisions in wrestling. They don't. Listen, in sports, right? We're all sports fans, right? Do you remember anything being overturned? They don't overturn the home run record held by Barry Bonds because he might have took some performance-enhancing drugs. They don't overturn what Roger Clemens did. They don't overturn a lot of things that people did because it's in the record books. And the record books state at the moment, Tsunami has the richest prize in the backyard wrestling circuit, the BCW Championship, but there's certainly 150 unsanctioned. It might be a different ballgame, but we're getting the replay. Let's go to the tape. Hopefully Tsunami can join us here and we can hear him, but certainly they're still having a problem hearing you, but boom, but there was something there. See, look at that there. And Tsunami certainly will try to come back, but yes, I agree with you both. There's definitely something there, and it wasn't supposed to be there, but the angle of the referee didn't see it. I mean, I don't know what else I can say other than that's the way it goes, you know? And Maxel, what do you want to say?
Well, here's what I want to say. I think what you just witnessed is very clear. It's very transparent. Kaden Gallows is right. I was absolutely robbed of everything on the biggest stage, the brightest lights. You know, the things you say here on Sportzwire, that was absolutely indicative and true at Trampomania 3.
I agree with that. Yes, I agree with
one of the biggest events in backyard wrestling, all the eyes in the world on us. I mean, there was over 50, 60 people in our live when that
You had almost 3,000 views on right now on YouTube, 120 plus likes. Yeah, there's no question. You had certainly a very memorable show and well-deserved. Congratulations to the entire locker room on that. But I mean, I know it's heartbreaking. It's gut-wrenching to lose the way you did. It's very gut-wrenching.
And despite that, Tom, despite that fact, everybody else who's lost at Trampomania 3, every other individual, you know, whether that be NJN, whether that be JC Comet until this week, whether that be A Swagger, Christian Sin. You haven't seen much of them on BCW TV after Trampomania. They're a little demoralized after they lost at Trampomania, and nobody has more of a right to be demoralized and more of a right to be disenfranchised with BCW right now than me, but I can't afford to. I can't afford to like those guys can because I'm too damn important to this place. And you see that flag back there, that Tsunami, he mocked and he sat there and he raised it and he raised the BCW Championship fraudulently in front of that BCW flag, falsely claiming pride in this company. No, the reason why that flag is here where it belongs is because I'm the one who financed this flag. That's the damn truth. I support this company not only with my frequent appearances, not only with my abilities, but also financially, monetarily. I do everything for this company, everything. And this man comes in, has the audacity to come in. He comes in whenever the hell he wants. He is an outlaw, and he's only been here a lot this month. He's only been here a lot this month because he's BCW champion, and he wants to soak it all in because he knows.
Well, I'm glad, though, that he's here because some champions in wrestling history held the title and weren't even on TV. Wink and a nod, Hulk Hogan famously, and Brock Lesnar. But Tsunami, we're going to try this again. And
yep. You guys can hear me, right?
Now I can. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, but my computer obviously is not state of the art. I have everything else in my life is except for this crap computer, and it says it's at 75%, and then it drops to 2% miraculously.
Well, we're going to try our best to hang on with you a little while longer. Go ahead, Champ. You got the
it should work now. I tried on my phone. I don't know, technical difficulties, but you know, I still have a better showing than Maxel Reeves, and that's all that matters. So, yeah.
But what do you say, though, about what we saw, that object, and that object that you had that the referee didn't see? I
called Maxel Reeves insecure earlier, and it's because, you know, that's his mind coming up with a fantasy world where he didn't lose and he didn't get pinned and it should have been a disqualification. He can't accept.
Are you saying then that's the same situation? Remember where NJN had one championship, Maxel had the other, and we went through that dance last year. Are you saying that Maxel's turning into the man that he took that championship that you have on right now? Is that what? Because you've invoked a lot of NJN. Are you saying that Maxel Reeves is turning in to NJN? And Maxel Reeves, I think Tsunami's having some major technical difficulties. I mean,
I guess the BCW championship.
Maybe the championship is getting to Tsunami. Maybe, you know what? This championship that you two men are fighting for, it's turning into something that, you know what? It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, understandably so.
There's a man. Well, listen. There's a man equipped to hold that BCW championship, and you're looking at him. And as you can see, at Trampomania, he proved that he can't hold the BCW championship the right way with what he went through. Oh, now he's coming back, of course. Oh, unbelievable.
I think he's downgraded. I think he's on his phone now.
No, this is unbelievable.
All right, now I hear you. Boy, this championship is certainly a lot of pressure. I mean, there's no question that this is almost like chasing a home run record or chasing games hitting streak. But Tsunami, I mean, what do you want to say?
I apologize for all the technical difficulties. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. But I'm going to.
I think we're still having troubles here. I mean, obviously, Kaden Gallows is not going to play the role of Tsunami. But so, Kaden, I got to ask you this question, and I know it's a difficult one because I'm going to put you on the spot. But 150 coming up here, unsanctioned match for that BCW Championship. Who do you think walks away from it?
I mean, I try to tend away from being biased here, but if anybody's got a taste for blood in their mouth, it's Maxel Reeves. And he's the one, I mean, he's been deemed the master of brutality. I've gone toe-to-toe with both of these guys. Tsunami arguably gave me my greatest match in this company at American Anarchy in that last man standing match. But Maxel Reeves has something that he doesn't, and that's grit. Tsunami has determination, and Maxel Reeves has grit. And there's a fine line between the two of those. And Maxel Reeves can really, when he needs to, he can dig down deep and figure out how he's going to win this match. And between these two men, there's nothing that these guys haven't seen from each other. They have thrown the same set of arsenal. They've tried to include more into their arsenal just to get that little edge. And we saw it at Trampomania, unfortunately taking the chain. But this match, there's no rules. It's unsanctioned. Anything goes. So I expect to see a lot of blood. I expect to see a lot of tears. I expect to see one man hoist that BCW championship up after that match, and that is Maxel Reeves.
That's going to take place here coming up on May 31st. That is next Saturday. It is episode 150. We have 2 more shows to get to that point. We're here with these guys for a little while longer. We hope Tsunami will be able to fix his technical difficulties. If not, Caden Gallows is pinch hitting for us, and he's certainly giving us a perspective. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have voice figuratively and literally where all music and wrestling matters, and we are talking all things related to BCW. Hit the sub button for BCW. Zilla's got a crush on Caden Gallows. That's great, Zilla, but we certainly say we'll stick it to in-ring stuff. But our friend Athena from Philly is here. James Taylor is very interested in what's going on. And yes, let's go Caden Gallows. Let's go Tsunami.
A lot of respect for that man, James Taylor, and what he's built. A lot of respect.
Yes, me too. We love James Taylor on this platform. James Taylor is somebody that he built Sportzwire Radio alongside Omen Black and Anthony Steele and Soldier DB and Justin Parsley and Jason Storm and CJ Black and Darkron, the Underground OG, and Matthew Forsaken and Sean Joby. Yes, no question about those things. But, Caden, from your perspective, who do you think has the edge here coming up next Saturday?
So mentally, I still believe, unfortunately, that Tsunami has this edge because he's the champion.
It seems like it until his last 10 minutes of technical difficulty.
Yeah, besides his little technical support, that's just, it is what it is. But, I mean, being the champion and having that little edge over Maxel Reeves, just because when you have that championship, it does something to you. I've never held it, but
you know these men. You've been in the ring with these men. And obviously, Maxel went through a lot to keep that championship after what he went through with NJN. Tsunami has come back here. You obviously were a part of a match trying to keep Tsunami from getting that shot and everything else in between. But there's no question that there's a lot of pressure here with this championship. And, Maxel's been on top and he's held the title for a while, but Tsunami, maybe there is pressure on his end because his first run, it didn't end the way he liked and the way he had hoped. And maybe Maxel can carry that coming up here next Saturday and regain his championship because he's experienced. He's battle-tested in big matches outside of Trampomania. He's won in these kind of situations, and maybe that's, from an outsider's perspective, going to help Maxel Reeves regain that championship and become a 3-time BCW champion.
That's exactly what's going to happen, Tom. I'm going to become a 3-time BCW champion. I'm the most decorated wrestler in this company. I've said it time and again because it's true. At Trampomania, the only thing that has changed is the official moniker and the official title of who is BCW champion. And it was done in a way that revealed Tsunami's insecurities to the world, and it showed the world that the man isn't who he thought he was. And you saw it on his face. You saw it on his face that entire match. He was distraught. He couldn't believe the man he was fighting, the man he was standing across from. He understands that I'm one.
Well, listen, what you two put each other through, there's no question that obviously it's all going to come to a head here next Saturday. And I almost think that your guys' careers are never going to be the same. I know I've said this before, but I really think what you guys put each other through a few weeks ago, now next Saturday, I mean, we know that this friendship is no more. We know that this company is going to go into a much different direction, but I kind of think that I mean, your careers are going to be entirely different. It may even never be the same after this.
You're absolutely right, Tom. Our careers will not be the same after this. Like I said, I'm a changed man after Transylvania 3. There's nothing I can do to go back and revert to the previous version of myself. And I considered myself in a way much more innocent, even though I was still the same wrestler and the same man equipped to deal with anything you see now.
Well, I don't know if you're the same man. We've seen a lot tonight, other than Tsunami's technical difficulties. I mean, this prize is definitely one for the ages. I do have a question for you, Caden, and you might want to answer it.
When is Caden coming back? I don't have a set date yet because there's a lot of external factors which is going into what I'm doing. I can give you guys a little hint of what I'm doing. It is involved with wrestling. I'm getting we'll just say I'm getting some wrestling help.
Okay.
I may be learning how to wrestle beyond the trampoline. If you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Ooh. But yeah, I'm putting in a lot of hard work. It's been a hell of a journey so far, and I know the journey's not over. Hell, I haven't even gotten at the first rest stop, but I would like to get back some point in 2025. I don't know when it will be. It's very difficult to judge just based off travel and how my schedule is going to go. But my goal is in BCW to come back this year. And if I can fulfill that for you guys, I will 100% be very grateful because you guys and the fans especially have given me such a platform to be able to do what I do.
And Ace Swagger should get a push. Well, you know what? That's a BCW management question, too, obviously. But Tsunami, you live. It sounds like we hear you, Tsunami.
Finally.
Boy,
Sorry about that.
Tsunami, obviously, I know the pressure of this championship has certainly been getting to both of you. But now you have a chance to respond here. And I know, obviously, we've only got so much time. And by the way, Caden is the greatest of all time, according to this account here. And if you are here, hit the sub button for us. We appreciate that. Also, hello to the Underground OG Darkron. And hit the sub button for our friends here in BCW because every sub matters. Tsunami, you've heard so much from Maxel Reeves these last 20 minutes or so. And I mean, what do you say here going into next Saturday? I mean, do you feel that you've got more pressure on you or what?
Yeah, I have a lot of pressure on me because, the champion is only really the champion after he has a successful title defense. That really proves if he deserves to be the champion or if maybe it was a fluke. And come next Saturday, come BCW 150, I'm going to prove that I deserve to be the champion more than anybody else in the business, more than anybody else in BCW, especially more so than Maxel Reeves. I fought for this for years, and 2024 wasn't a good year. 2025, I've been on fire. I am so confident.
We talked about that here when you were on with us a few weeks ago. We talked about how this year you have definitely had a different one, and I also think that you have on your mind that first championship run, and it didn't go the way you hoped. I had talked about that with Caden, and maybe that's going to be something that's going to fuel you here coming up for next Saturday. And I would have to think that that's going to be something that you're thinking a lot about, that first championship run and what could have been.
Yeah, it's something that I view as more of a different form of success, that I won the first BCW championship, and it was my first time winning a championship ever.
First is always, it's the first one. It's always the most difficult one. Sure.
I had to balance it, and I had NJN breathing down my neck. He just debuted. I had 2 successful defenses against Maxel Reeves and Tommy Good individually. And I was on my way to having a successful run, and I ran into NJN, and I got injured, and it didn't go my way. And neither did the next 2 years. And finally, I had a mentality shift when I kicked Tommy Good in the face at BCW 91. And I pretty much said that I don't need anybody. I don't need any alliances like the Fallen or Resurrection or the Mob. I don't need a friend like Tommy Good. And I don't need the fan support.
The friendship that the three of you had is obviously that's not happening. I mean, Maxel showed that poster, and I think it's time for me to present you guys something. And then I'm going to give you guys one more time again to ask each other a question. And we appreciate everyone being here. Before I do that, I I don't know about that point. I'll let Maxel handle that shirt, but Maxel is definitely very good at doing promos. Yes, that I agree with you on. I don't know enough about shirts and what they smell like, but I do know a lot about talking and promos, and Maxel is always welcomed on Sportswire, and he is very good at that, and that's why we love having BCW on Sportswire, and we're great to be with everyone here about it. But it's time for me to present you two men something, because I think it's fitting. I think especially on the eve of 150, that unsanctioned match for the BCW Championship. No, there's nobody else coming here, but I do want to offer you congratulations, gentlemen, because first, Maxel Reeves goes into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Then,
Wow.
Tsunami goes into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So, congratulations, fellas. Last time we put BCW in as a company in the Hall of Fame. Now we put both of you men individually into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and I will certainly give you both these certificates when we're off the air. And congratulations, my friends.
Of course,
Thank you
Tom,
so much.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Absolutely well
Thank you.
deserved.
Tom, I just want to extend
Means
my
so
thanks
much
to
to me.
you. Back in August when we started working together with started this collaboration between BCW and Sportswire. It's been absolutely great. You've given us a wonderful platform to come on here and talk in a manner and in a way that we don't really get the opportunity too much.
No, it's very important to have you guys here. You guys definitely are right now one of the premier companies in the backyard circuit, and you guys definitely should be here, and you guys are going to be here a lot more often. There's no question about that. And I think these last few shows have proven that when BCW comes on here, people are definitely interested. And yes, you guys definitely earned this one. And as a company, you've earned that. And Darkron says, congratulations. We'll let Maxel cut a promo in a few minutes. I'm going to give both these guys an opportunity to ask each other a question. So we're going to get to that point. And if you want to hang on here, Caden, you're welcome to hang on here. So
Yep, I'll stay.
Oh, cool. We're going to end here in a little bit anyway. But yes, I'm going to get to that. But, I think it's time before 150. I know that you guys are going to be on JCTV on Saturday. I know you guys are going to have plenty to say there, undoubtedly. And there's going to be a lot to talk about on Instagram and other places. But I want to give the opportunity for both of you men to ask each other a question once again. You know what? And because Eat My Fill in the Blanks is here, I'm going to give Maxel Reeves that opportunity to ask the incumbent Tsunami anything here before we get into a few final words.
Of course. Well, it's quite simple. My question for Tsunami is this. Now that there's nothing that you can throw at me that I don't expect, that I don't anticipate, now that you are going one-on-one in a match that has no rules, no regulations, it is unsanctioned. And in this match, I'm going to tell you right now that the person who was the first ever hardcore champion, longest reigning hardcore champion, this is something that I am prepared for more than anybody else in this company. Caden Gallows was another great hardcore champion. He understands what it means to be hardcore, what it means to go out there in a match with no regulations and to be able to come out with the win. And that is exactly who I am. That is exactly what I understand. Tsunami at Trampomania, we had a fantastic wrestling match in that ring. Me and you were fantastic in that ring. And I hate you. And I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I despise you. But we put on a show. We were throwing everything at each other. It was a good match. I truly think, and I know in my heart of hearts that I would have come out with the victory in that match, but I won't know. I won't know because you robbed me, you robbed yourself, and you robbed the people of getting to find out who is really the better man, who is really the best wrestler in BCW. You robbed the people of that opportunity. And what I did is I gave it to them back by removing any rules, removing any regulations, making it well known. And at BCW 150, it's me versus you. So what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now that you can't do anything to steal that title back? It's coming back home right on the shoulder where it rightfully belongs. What are you going to do?
Can I just? Is the sun rising? Because it took you about 5 hours to ask me that question.
Well, to be fair, you listen. It's his moment, and
yeah, I was waiting for the question, and honestly, I didn't hear anything you said except for what are you going to do now? And I'm good that that's the most important thing that I caught. But other than that, I kind of just in one ear and out the other. But what I'm going to do at BCW 150 is I'm going to make sure that you know you know that you are not the best. And you've had this false confidence. And obviously, as you should have had the confidence that you were the best, you walked around with the BCW championship for almost 9 months. But I'm going to make sure that after BCW 150, you know that there's somebody better than you. There's somebody so much better than you, and it's the man that you hate the most. And I'm going to make sure that you know that there's nothing you can do to take this championship back from me. If you ever get this BCW championship on your shoulder again, it will not be by beating me for it. And I'm going to show you that I can be just as hardcore as you claim to be. I've been in just as many hardcore matches as you. When you were the hardcore champion, you had one of two people to fight. You had me or Tommy Good. So yeah, you fought in a lot of hardcore matches. So did I. I fought Caden Gallows in perhaps the most brutal match in the history of BCW at American Anarchy 2. And I fought NJN in a last man standing match. I've been in the only 2 last man standing matches in the history of BCW.
Who won those matches? Not you.
Fought both of them. Yeah, I didn't. I tied the first one and I lost the second one because of Tommy Good. Okay, I don't lose clean here in BCW. I don't get beat like with my shoulders on the mat fair and square in BCW because I'm just too damn good. And that's why I'm the BCW champion. So at BCW 150, what am I going to do? I'm going to pin you again. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Plain and simple. Pin you again.
Well, that's what you have to do in order to keep that championship. And there's no question that this is a very highly anticipated match. And this is better than AEW. And they are naturals here. And Champ, I want to give you now the opportunity to ask Maxel a question. You heard from Maxel and what he wanted to ask you. You just responded, and now I give you the same opportunity to ask Maxel Reeves a question here before we get to a few final other things.
So Maxel, and keep in mind, this is a safe space here. You can open up to us. We're all, we all know each other here. You can express your feelings. I want to know deeply, like your true, most raw emotions. How do you feel knowing that you're a loser? And how do you feel knowing that you're not the BCW champion anymore? You're not the best in the company. You're not respected anymore. You can't beat your most bitter rival. And how do you feel knowing that at BCW 150, you might hurt me, but you have no chance at BCW 150? So how do you feel knowing all those things? I want to know emotionally, because this is going to make my night. I want to hear how miserable you are, because that's the only thing I care about alongside with this BCW championship is making your life a living hell. And I want to know how is hell right now? How is your life? Is it miserable?
Tsunami, you asked me to open up to you. You asked me you asked me to let you know my raw emotions. There was a long time ago in which I opened up to you on a regular basis. That time is over, but I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling right now. You know how I'm feeling. I'm feeling betrayed. I'm feeling stabbed in the back, and I don't feel that. I don't feel that for me. I do feel it for me, but on a much grander level, on a much more significant and important level. I feel it for this company. I feel the momentum of this company falling off a cliff each second that you hold that title on that shoulder. You fraud. You fraud, you liar, you manipulator. You are done at BCW 150. Everything is in hand. This contingency plan, the last time it was NJN. This time, I'm not even going to reveal my cards to you just yet, but just know that everything is in hand. And at BCW 150, I will reclaim the BCW championship any means necessary and showcase what I know to myself, that Maxel Reeves is the greatest wrestling prodigy on the market right now. And I am residing in the greatest wrestling company on the market right now in Ben Salem Championship Wrestling. It has been tarnished by you, and now I have the opportunity and the privilege to restore every ounce of prestige that you stole. So that's what's going to happen at BCW 150, and it's going to happen over your dead body. As you
he said dead body. This is unsanctioned. Remember that point, ladies and gentlemen. This is an unsanctioned match. They could fight to the death in order to secure that BCW championship. But you just heard what Maxel Reeves here said, ladies and gentlemen. Maxel Reeves talked about a contingency plan, and he talked about he had a plan, and it's by any means necessary. This is what this championship means, ladies and gentlemen. This is what this prize, the BCW championship, means. Not only what it means to this company, but what it means to Maxel Reeves. That he eats, sleeps, and drinks BCW. We know in the several times that Maxel Reeves has been on Sportswire what this championship has meant to him, what this company has meant to him. He has talked about now the monetary investments he's put in this company. He has talked about just how he thinks about this company, how he strives for his career, but also to grow the BCW brand into what it is today. But standing in his way from getting on top again for the third time is the man that holds that championship. And he holds it firmly, despite whatever you want to say about him. This is the man that is Mr. Trampomania and the founder of BCW, the one and only Tsunami. And it's going to be a tsunami-like match full of brutality between these two masters in the backyard wrestling circuit. And the only place you can watch BCW 150 where they'll compete for the richest prize in our sport, that BCW Championship, the BCW YouTube page next Saturday night. Gentlemen, before we get to closing thoughts, is there anything else that you want to share here tonight, or anything else that you want to get off your chest that we haven't had a chance to talk about here on Sportswire Radio?
Well,
Maxel, you can go first. Go ahead. Go first.
Oh my God! It's continuing here to develop. Go ahead.
I just want to direct your attention to your screens. Everyone watching this right now, I want you to look down at Tsunami. You see the name that is in that corner, and you see what's under it. You see that he calls himself the founder. He calls himself Mr. Trampomania. He calls himself BCW champion.
Yes.
And what do you see under my name? You see nothing. Why? Because my name is value enough. My name is value enough. I don't need all these monikers. I don't need all these titles because I am that damn good. I'm the star. I don't need to be called anything. What is a tsunami? A tsunami is a natural disaster unless you put all those titles underneath it. What is Maxel Reeves? Maxel Reeves is the greatest wrestling prodigy on the market and the individual who is capable of ending Tsunami for good. The only man who is capable of ending Tsunami. And I promise you, at BCW 150, there is not a thing on this planet that I won't do to get back my BCW championship. You've made this a war, and this is going to end like a war. And I promise you that at BCW 150, I am going to hit you with everything. I am going to paint your face a crimson mask. And then, and only then, will you know the seriousness of the situation you've gotten into.
Remember what Maxel Reeves said in the beginning of the show tonight. He said, eye for an eye. And it seems like Maxel Reeves is intent on that. He has been very intent on what he wants to do here next Saturday at 150. And there's no question we've heard contingency plans. We've turned by any means necessary. We've heard eye for an eye. And we've heard pretty much everything he's possibly going to do to Tsunami. He's told us here in different ways. We'll certainly get into all of that. I have no doubt from the fallout of 150. And certainly somebody wants their feet to be signed by both you gentlemen. But I'm going to leave that for a different time and a different place. But yeah, I'm going to definitely do that here because we did have Gary Wolf on Sportswire last week.
Oh, it's all you, Maxel. Maxel, you got that.
Well, actually, it's for both of you, but we'll leave that at that. Socks and feet. But
I
we're going to leave that at that because we certainly have a lot to talk about at a different place at a different time. But I know your time is both precious. So, Tsunami, is there anything else you want to say here before we get to final words?
Yeah. Maxel Reeves, how does this look? Does this look nice?
It looks as good as it did for the last 9 months, pal.
Yeah. Does it look better on my shoulder? Because I think it does, and I know a lot of people do. It looks great, doesn't it? Yeah.
No, it doesn't, because everyone knows how you got it on your shoulder.
It's replaced my pillow, and I've never slept better. I am the best BCW champion. It's just my reign's just getting started. And while NJN did have an 818 day reign, and Maxel Reeves had a 250 day reign, they're not going to do the things that I'm going to do as a BCW champion. And one of those is put on another fantastic display of why I'm the best in the backyard wrestling community at BCW 150. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just want to just once more. Looks nice, right? Maxel Reeves. You see that?
Tsunami, you're the only man here with something to prove. That's exactly why you want to prove that you're the best at BCW 150. I don't have to prove it because the people know it. And it's exactly that's the outcome that the people are going to see. You have to prove that you're the best because at Trampomania, at Trampomania, you proved that I was better than you because you proved that you were insecure enough to dig down in your bag of tricks and hit me with that.
You didn't beat me there. You can't beat me. You can't beat me.
I have and I will.
I beat you and you said that you beat me more times. I think at Trampomania I tied that. I think we beat each other.
This is the rubber match. This is the rubber match.
This is it.
Listen, what I've learned here between the two of you before we get to closing thoughts is this. Trampomania, Tsunami's Mr. Trampomania. But guess what? This isn't Trampomania coming up here at 150. And Maxel Reeves has won in these situations before. So right now, everything that we've seen here tonight, both men have certainly made very strong points. But it's all going to come to a head here in the true rubber match coming up here next Saturday in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, certainly on the BCW YouTube channel. And I think at the end of the day, what we've learned, this was a 10-year relationship, a 10-year friendship, that it's no more. But it's all coming to an end here, and it's coming to a head for that championship that Tsunami holds here next Saturday. Like I said, we've seen by any means necessary. We've talked about the personal squabble. We've talked about the Montreal Screw Job 2025. We've talked about contingency plans. Tsunami's talked about what he's done, what he's going to do. Caden Gallows has given us his perspective. He knows these two men. And the way I see it at this point, everything's thrown out the window. Look, we've seen Maxel Reeves storm off here. We've seen Tsunami have technical difficulties. Both these men, clearly this championship has meant so much to them. Clearly this championship, it's the richest prize in the backyard circuit, and it'll certainly drive any man crazy. And these two men have a lot on their plate, and it's all, like I said, going to come to an end and rear its ugly head next Saturday on the BCW YouTube page. You're going to want to hit the sub button for them, hit the sub button for us, and you're going to see more coverage of this, most certainly after next Saturday. But before we sign off here, we also want to point out one more time, Tsunami, Sportzwire Radio Hall of Famer now, Maxel Reeves, Sportzwire Radio Hall of Famer. They now join BCW as a company in the Hall of Fame. More BCW coverage is ahead on Sportzwire Radio. We want to thank everybody here for tuning in. Let's get to closing thoughts. Caden, I want to go with you first because obviously you were here with us. You were kind enough to join us. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? The floor is yours, my good friend.
Tsunami, if you're lucky enough to hold that title throughout the time that I'm gone, just know that I'm going to be hunting for you. And I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to be there, but you're going to feel it. I'll be there when you least expect it. Don't worry.
Well, we'll have to find out. And hit the sub button for Caden Gallows. And he's definitely going to be, I'm sure, back and doing a lot of things. And I'm excited. And, yeah, definitely shout out to you. And hit the sub button for him. And hit the sub button for us. And Maxwell has plenty of lungs, but he might have less lungs because he said plenty tonight. And I can understand that. But, yeah, definitely Tsunami and Maxel Reeves have feet and socks, and we'll let those guys figure out what they like about them. But hit the sub button for Caden Gallows, and we look forward to seeing you as well here in the near future, whenever that time might be. And thank you for that. I'm going to go with you, Maxel Reeves, for your final words. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? I pass the baton to you.
Thank you, my friend. First off, I just want to say here publicly on the air, I said it at the beginning or when he joined, I'm going to say it again. Caden, I continue to be prouder and prouder of you each and every single day, and I cannot wait to shake your hand when you walk back through that door in BCW. And when you do walk through that door in BCW, I will be your BCW champion, Caden. And then I'm telling you right now that me and you are going to be able to come and challenge for this championship because I think it's deserved. I think it's warranted. And then I think me and you are going to put on another classic and may the best man win. But until we get there, until we get to me versus Caden Gallows in the far, far distant future, whenever Caden's ready to come back, I have such a responsibility on my shoulder. Everything is laying on my shoulder. The pressure is mounting day by day to go to 150, come out your BCW champion, save BCW. And I'm going to tell you this, Tsunami has put me back in a corner. He has shoved the knife to my throat. It is beginning to pierce my skin, but I promise you in the past, I have been perseverant, and I am exactly that individual, because I'm telling you right this second that when I am backed into a corner, when I am vulnerable, that is when I know. And when I know that I have to do whatever it takes to take you out, I have to do whatever it takes to survive. And at BCW 150, it is the biggest stage. You say it's not as big of a stage as Tryptomania, but as far as importance, as far as scale of what this means and the implications this has for the company, it is 1,000 times bigger than Tryptomania in that way. And I'm going to tell each and every person in this chat, tune in to BCW 150. You're going to see an absolute classic, but I only encourage you to join if you don't have a weak stomach, because what you're going to see is an assassination of a man's character and the assassination of a man, because Tsunami will not be able to remain in BCW any longer after what I do to him at BCW 150. And Tsunami, it didn't have to be this way. There was a world where we could have coexisted despite our hatred for each other. But what you did at Tryptomania is you threatened that company. You threatened what I love. And because you threatened what I love, Tsunami, I cannot allow you to remain in this company, because you're a toxin, you're a cancer. And at BCW 150, I will be your chemotherapy, and I will eradicate you.
Whoa! I'll tell you what, that might have been his strongest words yet. Before next Saturday and before this Saturday, episode 148, Maxel Reeves has talked about being the chemotherapy to the cancer of Tsunami. He's talked about this photo thrown out the window, contingency plans by any means necessary. I mean, he has pretty much put it all out there, and it's all going to come to an unsanctioned match. After the Montreal Screw Job 2, the 2025 version of it happened, we'll have to certainly find out. You're going to get plenty of coverage, undoubtedly, after it. And I'm excited about it. You should be too. Hit the follow button on Instagram for Maxel Reeves, and you can see this and a lot more other content, and especially of BCW. And hellos from two of your peers. Comatose, the BYW Interpromotional Champion, the BTW Rumble 9 winner, and a man that I guess is a boss of one man that apparently decided to show up and maybe show up as a fan of your company, wink and a nod, Mr. Silas Walker, my buddy, hopefully your buddy, the DBW General Manager and the Global Champion, and he wanted to say hello, and yes, we wanted to say hello too to Silas. We love Silas, and I am really excited to see more of DBW content, but in the meantime, Mr. Tsunami, I pass the baton to you. I give you the last word because you're the champion, and certainly the floor is yours. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, be my guest.
BCW 150, I'm going to prove to everyone, and yeah, I do have a lot to prove. I have a lot to prove to myself. I have a lot to prove to everybody that keeps saying that it was the Montreal Screw Job of 2025. The only screw job is the fact that Maxel Reeves had the championship for 9 months. That's the only screw job, and I could get back into the politics of that, but in reality, I don't have to talk for 15 minutes like Maxel Reeves does all the time to get my point across. The point I'm going to make here today is that at BCW 150, I'm going to show Maxel Reeves that I can be more hardcore than he can imagine. And he talked about a crimson mask and an assassination. Maxel Reeves, I'm going to assassinate your wrestling career. You are not going to have an ounce of passion to step back into a BCW ring or any ring after BCW 150. I'm going to make you feel alone and helpless, just like I did at Tryptomania 3. I'm going to make you feel alone and like a loser, because that's what you are. You are an insecure, self-absorbed, pathetic, phony loser. And at BCW 150, these words will ring true through my fists, through any move that I hit, through any weaponry that I use, because it's all legal and you asked for this, and you are going to get the worst of me. You're going to get the most violent version of me, and I'm going to retain the BCW Championship. And once I'm done with you, I'm never going to have to deal with you again, because you will not have what it takes to wake up in the morning. And that flag behind you, you're going to have to take it out of your room, because you won't be able to stand to look at it, knowing that you failed to save the company. You failed to beat me again. So Maxel Reeves, I can't wait for BCW 150. I can't wait for this Saturday at BCW 148 on JCTV to say all these things to your face. And I can't wait to ruin your career for good this time.
The worst of Tsunami is coming. Now, Maxel Reeves, before we signed up, said, what is a tsunami? Well, it's a natural disaster. So that means we're getting the worst natural disaster in backyard wrestling history when it comes to what we're going to see from Tsunami next Saturday, BCW episode 150. And we get to see these guys at least one more time coming up on JCTV this coming Saturday on 148. And boy, this has been one for the ages. I mean, you have seen so much between these two men. You have to follow them on Instagram. You have to follow BCW on Instagram. You have to hit the sub button for BCW on YouTube, because we're going to have a lot of post BCW 150 coverage from this match, plus a number of other things. And before we sign off, Maxel Reeves, newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Tsunami, newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So certainly a lot to get into there. Certainly, I'm sure, post 150. Caden Gallows, we certainly wish you well in whatever you're doing. And I can't wait to talk about this. I can't wait to watch what's in store. And Tsunami said, listen, he's going to beat Maxel Reeves in his own game. He basically said that in his final thoughts, and he's definitely kind of gotten into Maxel Reeves' head. But Maxel Reeves, listen, at the end of the day, he's been here on top. He held that championship for nearly 9 months, and he knows what it takes to win big matches. Listen, Tsunami and Trampomania is Mr. Trampomania. Maxel Reeves, though, outside of Trampomania, he's gotten the upper hand. Time will only tell. Fellas, thank you so much. Congratulations on both being in the Hall of Fame. Tsunami, congratulations on winning at Trampomania, but it remains to be seen what happens next Saturday. And Caden, thank you as always, my friend. And we'll certainly resume this after 150. And can't wait to see what happens. And thank you, fellas, for all you do for our sport. And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's a nice belt. It's definitely a nice belt. And James Taylor's competing for a belt, but Tsunami's got that prize, baby. Hold that up one more time before we sign off. Look at that prize, the richest prize in the backyard wrestling circuit. There it is, baby. That BCW Championship held by the founder of BCW Tsunami. But Maxel Reeves looks to hold it. Maxel Reeves said he doesn't need a name underneath him. His name's good enough. But we'll find out. Certainly a lot to talk about here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all music and wrestling matters. Hit the sub button for us. I'll be back here tomorrow night. A couple different times I'm here with pro wrestling star Vito Fratelli at 11 o'clock. I'm here with Jake Dvorak, the NEW Northeast champion, at 8 o'clock. And I have a segment with a bunch of basketball players I know nothing about. Not NBA ones, not NCAA ones, but it'll be at some point somewhere in the day. But in the meantime, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hit the sub button for us in BCW. And thank you to everybody here in the chat that was with us. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the number one global radio station, Sportswire Radio, where all music and wrestling matters. Go support BCW. Check them out on Saturday, and we'll see you tomorrow.